Ben McKee and Patrick Brown of Go Vols 24/7 here on campus at the start of week number 2 of Tennessee Fall Camp. Tennessee hit the practice field this morning for practice number 5. We spoke to Glenn Ellerby, the offensive line coach, afterwards, and spoke to 4 offensive linemen as well. We'll talk offensive line before we get out of here and put our hand in the dirt while we do so. But first, we've got a jam-packed observations posted at the site. The receiver room continues to be a merry-go-round of sorts with players in and out of the lineup. There's a different receiver out today, so make sure you check out our observations on the site. But the big storyline from today at practice number 5 was Boo Carter ramping up his participation in practice.
Yeah, he went from present to participant. I saw him go out there, run out there with the return guys who were catching some kickoffs and punts outside during some special teams work they were doing in here. Then he went through turnover circuit with the rest of the defense, those 3 stations, and then went out there and was doing drills with the defensive backs. Now, was he doing a full practice after we left? Not sure, but certainly this is a big step either way. Even if he wasn't, it's a big step that he's back and more involved with the team, and certainly he's still got to stay on the straight and narrow, but has to be considered a pretty big step.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we shift to offensive line talk, routes on air today, cleaner.
Yeah, they did some tight zone, red zone, some goal line stuff. So I thought the freshman receivers looked pretty good, and the tight ends look good too. They should throw the ball at the tight ends a lot. That would be my advice to this offense going into the season. Kitzelman, Ethan Davis, even Jack Van Dorselaer too. So that's a good-looking group that can help this offense.
Yeah, that offensive line room looking to replace 4 starters, or they're going to have 4 new starters. You'll have Lance Hurd over at left tackle, and there's an ongoing competition at center right now between William Satterwhite and Sam Pendleton, and it sounds like that one's kind of up in the air right now.
It is. It's going to be an important few days, kind of going alongside that quarterback competition. And listening to Glenn Ellerby talk, he said that the center position is kind of like the heartbeat of the offensive line. You got to be able to sort of set the tone, kind of like Cooper Mays did. That's why Cooper Mays was so influential and so important to this offense the last 4 years, and that's why it's such big shoes to fill. Satterwhite's a redshirt freshman. Ellerby said he's still kind of cleaning up some things, snapping the football, which is obviously an overlooked but very important part of that job. And he kind of talked about Sam Pendleton sort of being that personality, that guy that's sort of he's an O-line, to the core kind of guy. And so that's going to continue to play out. Those guys working there, but that's just one of the competition. There's a lot of competition on this offensive line, but that's the one I think that's we've all got our eyes on this week and moving forward in camp.
There's also a competition at right guard. They've got 4 new starters. We kind of figured that Lance Hurd's going to be at left tackle. Wendell Moy, the Arizona transfer, is going to be at left guard. We'll see on center. We'll see on right guard. And then David Sanders Jr., we assume, is going to start at right tackle. So right guard is that other spot that's kind of up in the air right now. But it sounds like Jesse Perry has the leg up on everybody else. And Jesse Perry and somebody he's competing against, Sham Umarov, the stock is up on both of those guys right now.
Yeah, for everybody that's been waiting for a Glenn Ellerby high school recruit to get on the field, those are 2 prime candidates to help this football team this fall. And Ellerby talked about the competition, sort of different lineups, different periods, moving guys from side to side. We heard Wendell Moy talk about playing left and right guard. So there is some kind of crossover there. Jesse Perry is working a little bit at tackle too, which is where he played last season. Certainly Tennessee needs some depth there to come along, whether it's Perry, whether it's a guy like Bennett Warren who we talked to as well. He's dropped a lot of weight since he's been here over the past year. But Perry is, he's a pretty good story because he came from a small private school in, I think, Murfreesboro or over in Middle Tennessee, and played in Ryan will correct me, either a wing tee or a single wing, like barely threw the ball.
He did not pass protect.
And so he did not do a lot of pass protection, came here at like 270 pounds. He's 320 now, he's put on 50 pounds, just completely transformed his body. All these guys, I think, including Perry and Umarov, have just sort of built their confidence over developing sort of behind the scenes. But now they're obviously big factors to what Tennessee is going to look like on the offensive line. Both those guys are at guard, and they're pushing and trying to get those starting spots. And it's just such a different offensive line room. You had so many older guys last year. Now you got a lot of young, hungry guys that are kind of eager to prove themselves and earn some playing time.
We spoke to Perry. We spoke to Sham Umarov. We talked to Bennett Warren. We talked to Wendell Moy. And a consistent theme was just how close and tight-knit this room is, that they were really emphatic that the unit is very, very close despite all the competition that's ongoing.
Yeah, and that's kind of how offensive line rooms are. They're a very loyal group kind of naturally because it's such a demanding and physical position. It's such a tough position to play. It's one of those positions where you really only get noticed if you're making a mistake. And so But Ellerby kind of talked about too, just the sacrifice that the room is making. They're willing to compete, but they're also helping the guy next to him and behind them as well. And he feels like they should be pretty good in terms of chemistry and communication, but he acknowledged the obvious that you never really know until you throw them in the fire and get in games. So there'll be a little bit of unknown there, but I think Tennessee likes what they have on the offensive line, and they're just trying to sort out who their best five are and the guys behind those guys and who's going to play. And Ellerby said that they're willing to play more than 5 guys if they've got those guys.
And David Sanders Jr. continues to look, play, be the part of a 5-star freshman.
Yeah, he kind of just talked about how just technically Sanders will, you'll teach him something, he'll get it down, check the box, move on to the next thing, and he's just checking boxes off. And just talk about how mentally he spent so much extra time learning the offense in addition to getting his way up to where he needs to be. So he's a player that's really taken a lot of strides from the spring that they're obviously excited about.
Tennessee will be back on the practice field on Wednesday morning, tomorrow morning for practice number 6. They'll be off Thursday, and then practice number 7 will be Friday, and then scrimmage number 1 on Saturday inside of Neyland Stadium. Josh Heupel will speak to the media next after Saturday morning scrimmage. So a very important week for Tennessee football, and we've got all the coverage you need at GoVols247.com. He's Patrick Brown. I'm Ben McKee.